Good evening and welcome to this hybrid meeting of the Governance, Resources and Strategy Committee of ABC Council. Can I ask everyone to please mute their microphones at all times unless invited to speak by the chair? For those of you who are physically in the chamber here this evening, can I remind you that when speaking into your microphone, you need to wait until you see yourself on the screens so that the live feed can pick up your comments. If you speak before your image is projected, those listening on the live feed or via Zoom will not hear anything you say. And this is obviously important, especially if we are carrying out a vote, members. So, item number 1, members, apologies. Not seeing any hands or seeing any lights. I have one apology from Councillor Cosby. So on the basis that there's no hands or no lights in the chamber, we'll move on, members, to the declaration of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? No hands, no lights. Okay, and of course we can declare interest at any stage going through the agenda items, members. Agenda item number 3, members, the departmental business plans. This is an information item, and it will be Sharon McNichol who will present this report. Sharon.
Members, this is the 6-month update on the departmental business plans of the departments that fall within the remit of this committee. You'll recall that the business plans were agreed in April this year. There's quite an extensive amount of information in the appendices. What you'll see is progress against the actions within the business plans is ragged, red, amber and green for the purposes of members being able to evaluate where progress is being made and maybe where things are being delayed. All of the heads whose reports are in front of you this evening are on the meeting tonight, and so if members have any questions at all, happy to take those. But clearly this is an information item, and if any member has any matter arising from any of the reports that they want to raise with officers after the meeting or in any other way throughout, through normal business, please feel free to do so. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Sharon, thank you very much for the report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, really just to say this is a very good report and well presented, and it is an indication of the amount of work that's done through all of the departments and done well. There are very few red dots, and that's a very good sign of progress. So just want to congratulate.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Twybull. Members, any other questions or queries for Sharon on this one? Not seeing any lights in the chamber, not seeing any hands remotely. Okay, it's an information item, so we'll move on. Thank you, Sharon. Agenda item number 4, report on governance and policy issues, and Wendy Geary will present this report.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. This is the annual report we bring every year in relation to the calendar of meetings for the next year. And the details are in Appendix 1 for 2022. No real impact on meetings next year in terms of public holidays. But just to draw members' attention to some proposed changes, please, we're suggesting for January, and we're seeking approval to move the meetings to a week later to allow for Christmas and New Year holidays. So the recommendation before members tonight is to agree the meetings for 2022 as per Appendix 1, please, subject to any changes required during the calendar year.
Okay, Wendy, many thanks for that. Members, you've heard Wendy. I have quite a few hands up here. First one is Councillor Tinsley.
Just happy to propose, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tinsley. The next hand up was Councillor Barry.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Wendy. I'm happy to second. There's only one, and it's on the first appendix there in relation to the Governance, Resources and Strategy Committee at 3 o'clock. Now, if a note further on in the report at 6:30, and I just think it would be helpful to have that clarified.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Barry. Wendy? Okay, Wendy is going to change that. Members, Councillor Savage, were you wanting in? Councillor Kyle Savage?
There's just a second, it, Chair. That's all, but it's been done. Happy enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Savage. Members, I've no further lights on. We've had it proposed by Councillor Tinsley and we've had it seconded by Councillor Barry. All in agreement? Thank you. Agenda item number 5, members, report from the Head of Strategy and Performance, and it's Martina McNulty will present this. Martina.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. This first item at 5.1 is in relation to a consultation in relation to the Safeguarding Board for Northern Ireland, a consultation by the Department of Health, and Gary Scott, our safeguarding coordinators, are actually going to present the detail of the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Martina.
Okay, thank you and good evening, members. Yep, apologies. Thank you and good evening, members. Armagh City, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council are designated through legislation as members of the Safeguarding Board for Northern Ireland, and they're currently represented through Solus on the board by David Burns of Lisburn and Castlereagh Council. The suggested proposed amendments to the Safeguarding Board for Northern Ireland membership, procedures, functions and committee regulations, Northern Ireland 2012, are included in the report under recommendations, and as you will be aware, they intend to improve the operational and procedural arrangements of the SPNI by moving staffing and premises from a legislative footing to procedures on the 2 specific points that relate to council, and they're at points 8 and 9 on the consultation document. They simply reflect the number of councils have been reduced from 26 to 12 council areas, and as such, that membership of the SPNI board be reduced from 2 chief executives down to 1. There's nothing contained within this consultation that will impact on council. There's nothing contentious, and there are no financial implications either for council. I therefore recommend that you approve the proposed consultation response and agree to the Department of Health proposed amendments to the regulations.
Okay, Gary, thank you very much, and Martina also for that comprehensive report. Members, I'm sure you have perused the report. Have any questions or queries for either Gary or for Martina on this one, members? Seeing no hands or no lights. It's a decision item, members. Can I have a proposer, Councillor Flaherty and Councillor Barry on the second? Members, you have heard it proposed and seconded. All in agreement? Agreed. Thank you. Item 5.2, over to you again, Martina. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Yes, this is a regular item. It's the consultation documents from external organisations. It is a decision item. And in the appendix, you'll see the list of external consultations where officers are intending to make consultation responses, and will be brought through the relevant service committees. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Martina. Councillor Tennyson.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, look, broadly happy with the report. There was just one issue that sort of jumped out at me, and that was consultation 6 in relation to some minor technical amendments to the local government pension scheme. I'm happy to note this consultation, but I do have one slight request that we would write an additional letter. So I'm going to take you through my spiel. Members of this chamber will be aware that members past and present are automatically enrolled in the local government pension scheme managed by NILGOSC. That is a scheme that continues to invest in climate destroying fossil fuel companies, and therefore which effectively helps to fund climate breakdown. The latest figures I've been able to access are that NILGOSC still have a direct shareholding in oil, coal and gas worth about 33 million as of August 2019. For members like me, Chair, that means that by the time I'm actually old enough to draw down my pension, we will have surpassed the 1.5 climate targets in the Paris Agreement, and we will be dealing with the enduring consequences with heat waves of increased intensity and duration, sea levels rising at an accelerating rate, ice caps and ocean acidification. The world's eyes are on Glasgow this week, COP26, and this council can show leadership and play its part by writing to the Communities Minister and to NILGOSC, urging that the local government pension scheme be divested from fossil fuels, taking our money out of the fossil fuel industry and instead ensuring it is invested for the public good in the green technologies of the future. I've raised this issue previously, as members will be aware, in 2019, and my proposal at that stage was defeated. But I'm asking members to reconsider tonight against the backdrop of COP26 and the thousands of people that took to the streets in Belfast to demand climate action on Saturday. So I'm asking tonight, members, that we show leadership, that we cease funding climate destruction, and that we commit to fully divest from fossil fuels by, in addition to these consultation responses, writing to the Minister and to NILGOSC. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Tennyson. Martina, do you want to field that in terms of an officer response?
I think, Chair, if you don't mind saying, I think it's probably a decision for the members. We're in the hands of members in relation to this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McKinstry, no. The next hand I have is Councillor Lavery.
Thank you, Chair. Just to commend the second Councillor Townsend's proposal, I think it's very worthy, and just to put that into perspective in terms of some of the organisations that have already agreed to divest their pension schemes. So I'll just list a few here. You've got the Church of Ireland, you've got the Presbyterian Church of Ireland, you've got the Roman Catholic Bishops' Conference have all agreed to divest. The Methodist Church in Ireland, whose money is governed by the Methodist Church in England, have already agreed to divest from coal and some major oil. You've got QUB and you've got Ulster University, the two major universities here, have also agreed to divest. And indeed, you have the fourth largest pension fund in the world, ABP, which is, in total, I think about £15 billion invested, has also agreed to divest 2 weeks ago. So I think it's very timely, the proposal from Councillor Tennyson, and as mentioned, I'm happy to second, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lavery. Members, you have heard it proposed and seconded. I do have a couple more hands up. I will take them first. First one is Councillor Kyle Savage.
Thank you, Chair. Let me in there on this. No, I remember back to whenever this was discussed in full council, was NILGOSC not to come in and give a presentation to us and to answer to us in full council at one stage, or if I missed that or misheard that at some stage. Led to believe that. I'm not, I don't disagree with what has been said, but I think it's important that we get the full facts from the people that's delivering the pension policies for council. That's just my concern. I want the full facts and nothing but the facts on the table. And I think the presentation from NILGOSC or whoever, and I think that was actually proposed by Alderman Jim Spears at one time, if I'm not mistaken. But perhaps officers could give us the lead on that, please. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Savage. Going to bring in Sharon McNichol. Sharon.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, that does. I do recall members having a discussion on this matter. I would need to go back now and check the minutes, etc., about what was agreed and whether, in fact, Nilgosk did make a presentation. I know they made a presentation to Nilga. I know that. But I would just need to check the status of that with in terms of our own council. So if you leave that with me, I'll have a look.
Okay, thank you, Sharon, for that. The next hand I have up is Councillor Michael.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm totally sympathetic to Councillor Tennyson's sentiments, but I'm just not sure that a piece on consultation responses to some minor amendments to the pension scheme is the proper channel to bring forward proposals which are completely separate to what's on the table here in terms of consultation responses. I just don't see. I mean, if Councillor Tennyson wants to bring his notice of motion again to council, I fully support it. I'm just not, I think this is an abuse of this process that we're going through at the moment, which is just agreeing with officers that we do a straightforward response to a straightforward consultation, and using that as an opportunity to get in some other separate political points just really doesn't sit well with me.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Michael, and I would say I have some sympathy for that view. The next hand I have up is Alderman Moutre.
Thank you, Chair. Can I apologise for my lateness? I've had considerable difficulty in getting on. I've only come in the middle of this discussion, so I have, but from what I've picked up from what I would have great sympathies with what Councillor Michael has said, and indeed what Councillor Kyle Savage has said, and I don't think we should be making any knee-jerk decisions in relation to this tonight. I think we should defer until we get a presentation either from Nilgos or until. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Moutre, thank you for that. I have no further hands up in the chamber. I have Councillor Tennyson, you wanting back in again?
Yeah, no, thank you, Chair. And it's just speaking to the point that Councillor Michael made. I mean, look, I would have brought proposals like this through notice of motion previously, but the reality is that this council is limited the number of notices of motion that I can bring, so I can only bring one in a year. And the other issue here is that actually councillors are able to bring forward proposals without notice so long as they don't have a financial implication for the council. Now, writing a letter to the Department for Communities and to Nilgosk does not have a financial implication for the council. So I just think there are two important points to lay out. I could have equally taken this under AOB tonight, and that would have been acceptable under standing orders. But I saw that the pension scheme was being raised as part of our consultation responses, and I decided to raise it there rather than adding another item to the agenda. But at the end of the day, members, and I say it many a times, the sentiment is clear. We've been through this before. We've had the debate. We've considered the notice of motion. It's a clear-cut decision. You either support divestment or you don't. And I would like to see us take that decision tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tennyson. The next light I have on, Councillor Kevin Savage.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to declare an interest in consultation 11, Department of Communities, the consultation on the intermediate rent and development of a policy model. I work in the department's housing division, so I just wanted that noted on record, Chair. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Savage. Councillor Flaherty.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. It's actually, I have just a number of questions on two different items. It's item number 5 and number 8. Right. So you can bring me back in at another time if necessary.
Okay. Members, we need to draw this to a conclusion. We have heard from Councillor Tennyson and from Councillor Lavery in terms of a proposal and a seconder that we write a letter to Department for Communities on this pension thing. I think any questions have been answered, or the answers will be on the way from council officers. But we have a proposal on the table, and I'm going to put that proposal to the meeting. Are we in agreement on the proposal? I'm sensing that no, we're not in agreement. Vote. Alderman Crabbe, you want in? No. Since we don't have agreement, members.
Request a recorded vote.
Recorded vote. Thank you, Councillor Lavery. So we are voting on Councillor Tennyson's proposal. So just go down the list as it is in front of me. Councillor Barry?
No.
Councillor Cosby is not on the list. Councillor Flaherty?
No, Chair.
Councillor Brona Hockey?
Yes, Chair.
Yes. Councillor Keith Hockeyan?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Thomas Larkham? Is Councillor Larkham on the call?
He's not on, Chair.
Did not vote. Councillor Peter Lavery?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Liam Mackle?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor
Sorry. No, Chair.
Councillor Darren McNally?
Yes, Chair.
Alderman Stephen Mudray?
No, Chair.
Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Kevin Savage?
Yes, Chair. Oh, yes, Chair.
Councillor Kyle Savage?
No, Chair.
Councillor Owen Tennyson?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Margaret Inslee?
No, Chair.
Councillor Kieran Toman?
Yes, Chair.
Councillor Ian Wilson? Councillor Ian Wilson?
No, Chair.
The Vice Chairman, Alderman Twyble?
I'm slow to come up, Mr. Chairman. That's it now. No, Mr. Chairman.
Myself as chairman, no. Give us a few seconds, members. Okay, members, we have the result in. It is a tied vote, 9 votes each. Standing orders allow the chair a casting vote. I vote against, I vote no. The proposal falls. As it was a recorded vote, those voting yes were Councillor Brona Hockey, Councillor Keith Hockeyan, Councillor Peter Lavery, Councillor Liam Mackle, Councillor Darren McNally, Councillor Thomas O'Hanlon, Councillor Kevin Savage, Councillor Owen Tennyson, and Councillor Kieran Toman. Those voting no, Councillor Paul Barry, Councillor Julie Flaherty, Councillor Louise McKinstry, Alderman Stephen Moutre, Councillor Kyle Savage, Councillor Margaret Tinsley, Councillor Ian Wilson, the Vice Chair, Alderman Kenneth Twyble, and the Chair, myself, Councillor Tim McClelland. Members, as I've said, the proposal falls, and Sharon in due course will get some of the information that was mentioned and discussed earlier. Yeah. So we're back to the agenda item 5.2, the consultation documents from external organisations. As that overall piece was a decision item, I need a proposer and a seconder.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to propose, but I did have a number of comments I wanted to make. Consultation number 1 is a call for view on new betting, gaming and lotteries. Now, our colleagues and a very good friend of mine, Carolyn Harris, MP in Wales, has been working very, very hard on this. So I know we've discussed this at a number of committees, but that is a very, very important consultation that really needs to be looked at, particularly the online aspect of said consultation. The other one is number 5, which my attention was drawn to, which is the call for evidence for the High Street Task Force. Now, we all sit in these different forms of task forces regarding our town centres. We know how important this is. I know there was a meeting, I think it was Mid-Ulster or something, hosted one of the call for evidence. I just wondered if there was plans for the same sort of event here in the ABC area. I'm assuming there will be at some stage, but if we can be informed of that in good time, that would be very, very useful, particularly for those of us who are particularly interested in the future of our high streets. There's also the one on single-use plastics there at number 8, which is very important. Now, why I wanted to mention that was just with regards to our own council here. I know there's been different notices of motion came through from different parties over the last number of years about water terminals and all this sort of thing. A wee update on some of that would be very useful. And we are using a lot of single-use plastic. I've noticed it at a number of events here in the council just of late. And I'd like to see that coming to an end as soon as, because we can't be filling in these documents and then not following through. So if it probably is, it's environmental services, which is pretty good. And also in here, just so that we're doing what we actually say. It'd be very useful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Flaherty. In terms of officer taking this, who wants to field that question, Martina or?
Chair, just in relation to those recent points raised, I'll make sure that they're brought back to both Nicola, Gillian and Barry in relation to Councillor Flaherty's questions, if that's okay, or unless Olga is here tonight and wants to say anything about the High Street Task Force. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Martina. Councillor Flaherty, you're happy enough? Yeah. Okay. So given that, and I'm not seeing any further hands or lights, I still need a proposer for item 5.2 as a broad piece. Councillor Flaherty's proposed. A seconder, Councillor Tennyson seconded. Members, we've heard it proposed and seconded. All in agreement? No. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, members. Agenda item number 6, report from the head of estates and asset management. And this is a decision item 6.1. Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. The report for you tonight relates to the request for lighting up council buildings. The members will note the detail in the report in relation to 2 particular dates, and I would seek members' approval in relation to lighting up our buildings in those 2 particular dates. Members will also note that I will propose to bring a full schedule of all our lighting up of buildings for the next calendar year to our December committee meeting, but happy to take any questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan, for that. Councillor Flaherty, you're in.
Yeah, I've just lost it here now. Hold on. You see, regarding Jonathan, thank you for the report. By the way, see, regarding the date, the 23rd of March, I'm aware there is a lighting on that, on the schedule for that. Is it? It's not the week. I couldn't find it when I was looking. It's for Down syndrome awareness. Is that the week? The one that's just the one day on the 21st, or is that the week? Because there's a number of them. Just to clarify that. Otherwise, I'm happy enough. Because I don't want the Down syndrome one moved. You understand?
Yes. Thank you, and through the Chair, yes, no, we are looking at that schedule, and the those that have been on the schedule this year will transfer to the schedule next year, so it will not interfere with this particular date at all. That's generally for the week, but we do it for the 21st.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you very much for that. Councillor McKinstry, you're in next.
Thank you, and I think Councillor Flaherty, did you propose that?
Yeah.
So I'd be happy enough to second, and I would also look forward to seeing the schedule for the year coming through full council. But yes, happy to second that proposal.
Okay, members, I'm not seeing any other lights or any hands at home. We have heard it proposed by Councillor Flaherty, seconded by Councillor McKinstry. Are we all in agreement, members? Agreed. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Agenda item number 7, members. And this is a report from the Head of Community Planning, Policy and Research. And it's an information item, and it's Elaine Gillespie to present. Welcome, Elaine.
Thank you, Chair, and evening, members. Members, this is just an information report. It includes the minutes of the last strategic partnership meeting, an update on the consultation that's ongoing on the Armagh Place Plan, and some information about our community planning officer being asked to co-author a chapter in a book coming from a conference that she attended and presented at. But I'm happy to take any questions members may have.
Okay, Elaine, thank you for the report. And members, I'm sure you will have perused the report. Are there any questions or queries or comments for Elaine? Councillor Tinsley, you're in first.
Chair, just slightly, it was just something that was raised at leisure the other evening with Councillor Cosby, and maybe Elaine would have had the answer to it. But as the statistician used to come under community planning, the question was raised the other night at committee: are we still employing the statistician that was here on a temporary basis? And I know we're in the process of recruiting, but the question was asked: are we still employing the that secondment? But sorry, I know it's slightly different in terms of the report, but it was just whenever Elaine was there, it was a question couldn't be answered on the night. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Tinsley. Elaine, are you happy to take that, or will you get back to Councillor Tinsley at some point?
No, I'm happy to take that now, Chair, if it's okay. And just for members' information, as a reminder, yes, we did used to second a NISRA statistician, and unfortunately at the start of this year, NISRA withdrew that service from all local councils. So we are recruiting at the minute. There is a job out in the papers at the minute to recruit that post as a data analyst instead in-house, but we no longer recruit a statistician from NISRA.
Councillor McKinstry, you're...
Thank you, Chair. And mine's just actually a general comment. Whenever I was reading through my notes for this meeting, and I was reading the minutes of the CPSP meeting, and I noted that there was only 2 members present at that, and one apology had been given in. And I myself chair the Lurgan Townscape Heritage Board as well, and we would have poor attendance at those meetings. And whenever key decisions are being made to move projects forward, I think attendance at these meetings is really quite vital. And I would just like that noted in the minutes. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor McKinstry, thank you for that, and that will be noted. No other hands, no other lights, and it's an information item, so we move on, members. Thank you. Agenda item number 8, members, report from the Head of Tourism, Arts and Culture, and it's a decision item 8.1, and it's Brian Johnson to present. Brian.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. The report in front of you this evening relates to the UK City of Culture bid for 2025. In terms of the background to this, members initially permitted officers the opportunity to explore a bid for UK City of Culture back in June, and there been a number of presentations back to committee since, the last of which was last night at the Economic Development and Regeneration Committee. And so there've been a number of presentations to members. And the detail in the report outlines the background and the timelines. The timelines are quite tight in terms of the submission of the full bid, which needs to be in for the 2nd of February. In terms of the resourcing of the bid, there's a highlighted list of work streams that need completed in that short period of time. And also the report highlights a number of external resources that we don't have currently within council. So very specialist skills and expertise that we need to bring in to complete the submission. So you'll see those listed in the report. And again, there's some on the back page of the report, there's some important metrics for consideration, just for the reasoning for why we're bidding for UK City of Culture. And again, you'll see some of those are economic, their social and their environmental metrics included within that. And again, a very good alignment with Council's strategic priorities in terms of inclusive growth, health and wellbeing, the green agenda, and the tourism and culture framework. So the decision before members and the recommendation is that members agree to a funding allocation of up to £300,000 from reserves to resource the UK City of Culture bid 2025. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Brian, thank you for that. Councillor McKinnon.
Thank you, Chair. And it is an eye-watering amount of money for us to put together a bid, even that it's coming from reserves. But I trust that even if the bid is unsuccessful, it would still yield value for money for our ratepayers. I'd just like to remind, or put out a wee reminder though, that it is Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon City of Culture bid, not just the Armagh City of Culture bid. And there is plenty of culture to be found in my DEA of Lurgan, as I'm sure many members here could support that for their own DEA. So I'm happy to propose, just with a caveat of the amount of money, that it's value for money for our ratepayers. But I trust your analysis of the situation on this and bringing it forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor McKinstry, and a few points very well made. The next hand I have is Councillor O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Chairman, and thanks, Brian. I'm one of the lucky who have heard your presentation on 2 nights on the trot. But look, firstly, I want to second the proposal of Councillor McKinstry. To me, this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to showcase Armagh City and to the rest of the world. I think I used the phrase about opening our doors to the world.
Craigavon and Banbridge as well.
Well, yeah, but it's a city of culture. But look, I do get it that it has to, that the bid covers the wider area, so I accept that. But what I would say is we need to look at this more than just a bid. This is about us selling
our product to the world. It's also the legacy that, should we be successful, the legacy that this could leave to every community across our borough would be, we cannot underestimate the legacy that this can leave. So, and I know Brian and the team have done tremendous work to get us to this far. I told him last night that I had every confidence that he would get us through this stage and down to the last three. And we're not in this to be third place. We're in this to win this. And I think that if we put the resources behind it, and we let the judges and the world see what our area has. You know, Ireland's oldest city, right back from Christianity, or from pagan times to Christianity, right through our whole cultural piece, right across the borough. I think there's an opportunity to sell that. And as I said, we're in this to win it. And we can only do it if we commit and put our money where our mouth is. And I believe that the resources and the piece that Brian has put forward tonight matches our ambition. And I'm happy to second it.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon.
Yes, again, Mr. Chairman, I want to endorse what has been said already and support every word of it. I think this is an opportunity that we haven't had before and may never have again. And I think it's worth putting all our efforts into this bid. I just hope that the amount of money, we're very fortunate that we have the legacy money there, that we're not having to look for external or future money. We have it there in reserves. And we're fortunate about that. And I think this is some of that money well spent. And I would only caution that if we find that we need more, that we should be willing to delve deeper. So I'm fully in support of the effort.
Okay, thank you, Alderman Twybull. Members, you have heard it proposed and seconded in terms of item 8.1. Are we all in agreement? Great, thank you. And certainly, before we move on, this one certainly, we do wish Brian and his team well as they put in the work to hopefully bring this home for our complete borough. So I hope it goes very well, Brian, and thank you for everything done so far and everything that you will do in the coming months. So it's appreciated. Thanks. Okay, members, I now need to seek a proposer and a seconder that we go into committee. Proposed Councillor Barry, seconded Councillor Flaherty. The chair has to make the following statement. Members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, exempt information, we will now be moving into a confidential session of the council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of this meeting can proceed? session. ICT have confirmed that we are live feeding again, which brings us, members, to agenda item 15, any other relevant business. And members, I have not been furnished with any details on other business. So at that point, it's my duty to call the meeting to an end and to wish you all a good remainder of your evening. Thank you for your participation, members. Good night.
Thank you, Chair.